Namaste and greetings. I, Pranganegi, researcher at IMPRI Impact and Policy Research Institute, Prabhav एवं नीति अनुसंधान संस्थान नई दिल्ली, extend my warmest welcome to you all to IMPRI Web Policy Learning. We're gathered here for the final day, that is day 11 of the Public Policy Qualitative Participatory Action Research Fieldwork Fellowship Cohort 2.0, a 4-month online immersive qualitative participatory action research fieldwork certificate training fellowship. The chair for this program is Professor Vibhuti Patel ji, visiting distinguished professor at IMPRI. The conveners for this course are Dr. Simi Mehta ji and Dr. Arjun Kumar ji. Welcome everyone to this insightful discussion, and I appreciate your dedication in investing your time, energy, and commitment to gain a profound understanding of the crucial role and intricate details of public policy frameworks through this fellowship. To begin today's session, I would like to invite Professor Vibhuti Patel ji, visiting distinguished professor at IMPRI, to give her opening remarks. Over to you, ma'am.
Yeah, thank you, Priyanka, for introducing the course. And today is the 11th day. We welcome Professor Mukul for his valedictory address. First of all, I would like to offer my heartfelt thanks to Dr. Simi Mehta, Dr. Arjun Kumar, Dr. Advocate Shalo Nikam, who are the conveners of this course, and we have successfully completed very important sessions, and all the resource persons put in their 100%. The first session was kick-started by Professor Vijay Raghavan, who shared his personal experience of participatory action research that resulted in the actual policies with regards to child sexual abuse, prison reforms, rehabilitation of the prisoners who are out of the prison, women's question, and also so many SOPs which TIS has prepared based on their action research. The second day was by Dr. Amar Jesani, who introduced us to the ethical dimensions of both fieldwork and action research. And he gave so many examples from the field of social sciences, from humanities, from human rights, and from medical field. Third session by me was on qualitative research and reporting, where we went into the nuances of qualitative research, how it differs, where a quantitative research, where numbers and percentages are important, while here the participation of the researchers and observation and the words are extremely important, and what are the important intersectional realities that researcher needs to take into consideration. Day 4 was by Dr. Soumyadeep Chattopadhyay, who spoke about the fieldwork and the qualitative research methods and how to prepare the questionnaire based on his first-hand experience of working for the policies of West Bengal government, and also so many centrally sponsored schemes which are implemented in different subnational levels. Day 5 was by Dr. Simi Mehta, where she introduced the researchers into report writing and editorial guidance from the starting of the idea of research and the topic, and how to conclude it with a robust research report and article. Day 6 was by Gumadi Sridevi, who spoke on the qualitative fieldwork research, and she gave several case studies based on her researches conducted by her. Dr. Purnima Chauhan's session on day 7 was about how bureaucrats uses research, action research, and also makes transformative changes in their jurisdiction. And she shared her experiences of being a secretary of Himachal Pradesh, and she gave several successful examples of sanitation management, combating declining sex ratio in Himachal Pradesh, and also the question of the good governance and working with the Panchayati Raj institutions. Day 8 was by Professor Utpal K. Day, who spoke on the fundamentals of qualitative data analysis, because data is a forest, and how to do data processing, data cleaning, data management, and inferences which you make out of the data. And day 9 was by Prabhu Punnuswamy, which was a totally different ball game, where he spoke about the artificial intelligence skills for research and how the computing and technological advancement have contributed to more nuanced and accurate researches. And he also enlightened us about certain dangers where you are using artificial intelligence and where to draw a line. Day 10 was by Professor Mani Meklai, where she spoke about the career prospects for the researchers who are trained in qualitative participatory research. First, she talked about the career prospects in academic, in think tank, in the UN system, in the NGOs, and in the some of the independent researches where your proficiency in qualitative research is helpful, and how to get your articles published. And she also introduced the participants to various types of publications, which are like a peer-reviewed journals or a Scopus rated journal or double-blind peer review, how is done, or the in-house journals of various important research institutions and universities. And today we have Professor Asher, a very, very senior academician and a veteran in both, who knows the praxis of the policy making, and he also is a very robust in his research, to give us a valedictory address. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you for providing a comprehensive recap of this fellowship program. And now, as we conclude this fellowship program, it is with great honor and privilege that I extend an invitation to Professor Mukul Asherji for his valedictory address. Professor Asher is a former professor at the Lee Kuan Yew School of Public Policy, National University of Singapore, and visiting distinguished professor at IMPRI. We are delighted to have you with us, sir. The floor is all yours.
Namaskar, Pranam. Let me first share the screen. Okay, is that okay? Are we?
Yes, sir, we can see your
It
screen.
is in working mode. It is in working mode. Can be made. Fine. Okay.
Yeah. Is that okay now?
Yeah.
Okay. First, let me start with how impressive this very well thought out integrative program has been in participatory qualitative research. One of the areas which I am particularly impressed is the focus on publishing in the peer-reviewed or other outlets, peer-reviewed journals or other outlets. And I think the publishing gives researchers a much wider scope and the way to improve themselves because of the comments and other things that are received. Also allows them to get globally acquainted with the global practices, area where India has been lacking in social science research peer-reviewed journal publications, and we need to increase that share. So I'm very, very grateful to IMPRI conveners and Professor Patel for considering me to give a valedictory address. I have not studied all the sessions that she mentioned. So if there are any duplications in the points, please forgive me. Now, the name of the program itself is Public Policy. So it is related to public policies, Qualitative Participatory Action Research. These are very important word, and the Fieldwork Fellowship. So I'm glad this is the second cohort. I hope there will be a third cohort as well. In this address, it would be useful to reemphasize the challenges that are involved in such research and why, in spite of long history of such research in India and elsewhere, the policy impact has been less than hoped for. Yes, there are examples from the states and so on, but I think the overall quality of public policy policies and public policy discourse dialogue that we wish to have has a scope for a lot of scope for improvement. The following publication is worth pursuing for how a rigorous impact analysis of the government programs in India can be undertaken. This is done at the central government level, but similar type of thing we need to encourage for the state government level. A lot of state governments have a lot of schemes, but no real analysis, the impact or otherwise, and very little quantification. And I think we need to have emphasis in this kind of research on some quantification as well. For example, we have a Har Ghar Jal scheme where tap water is being made available to large number of households. Now we know the general thing is that it saves time for women, they are safer, their health improves and so on. But what is the quantitative dimension of this? This may vary greatly. And this kind of research is particularly useful where this kind of village level data are available to do that. So this was a paper by the Prime Minister's Economic Advisory Council, a secular democracy practice, objective assessment of amenities program in India, all the different amenities that the government's certain central government schemes are providing, by Shamika Ravi, whom all of you would know as a very prominent researcher. As participants receive a certificate at the end of the program, it is vital to recognize that such a certificate, or more broadly a degree, is just a piece of paper. Sorry, I want to discourage as such, because your learning or your education is seen in your behavior. And what participants are encouraged to do is that after this very high quality program, how does their behavior change when they go next for this kind of research, when they approach it, when they think about it? If their behavior changes in the desired manner, that certificate will be worth a lot more. But if it doesn't, then it will be worth less. In India's civilization, learning and education are seen in sanskar. Okay, so we call it, we say, oh, this guy has got sanskar. Or in Gujarati, we say sanskari che, ke nathi. So that is very, very important, something that is ignored. Often neglected trait in studying global economic history and local as well, perfecting public research and policy outcomes, is niyat. So sanskar is one, niyat, intent. Are you, the large philosophical question is, knowledge for what? Okay, you may have knowledge, but are you using it to improve lives? You are using it constructively, you are trying to improve, or you are using it in some other way. So a niyat is not good. The more competent a person is, the more damage that person can do. And so these intangibles need to be emphasized as well. The same knowledge and capabilities could provide adverse results if not accompanied by good niyat. The above suggests that a question which needs to be reflected upon is that has the program added value to your skill set? How much did it affect your behavior? How much did it affect your niyat in a more positive and constructive manner? This will vary among the participants, and each participant can privately think about what it is and what they can get. So that is the ultimate reflection of the program. Now, let me just say a few things about the some thoughts that are relevant in this kind of research. Sridhar Vembu, born in 1968, Indian billionaire, business magnate, founder and CEO of Zoho Corporation. You may have heard of him. According to Forbes, he is the 55th richest person in India. Now, his two observations are more important than his wealth and scientific method. And I think, I'm sure what I heard, the summary, all this has already been there. I'm just re-emphasizing it. First, the data, okay, numbers, and the whether quantitative or qualitative, okay? Then the analysis. So you take the numbers or you collect the numbers through participatory research, then the analysis, then the policy implications, finally the views. But today it is too easy to voice out opinions. So these are opinions without facts or without competence in a particular area. So this is one message that Sridhar Vembu's idea that is worth considering. And this, my comment is that this kind of programs should imbibe the nature of scientific method among the faculty as well, because I've seen a lot of faculty and interacted with them, as well as the participants. And I saw the participants' designations and so on, very impressive professionals, many of them. Some are faculty as well. So the administrators, they should be there as well. And I was so glad that AI was included in this, because it is going to change the way we approach a lot of things. So that to be at least familiar with it, and competence in numerical literacy. A lot of people shy away from numbers. So when I was teaching in Likwani School at Public Policy, my course was called Economic Reasoning and Public Policy. So when I would ask them to write a one-page memo or something, a lot of memos will come back to me with no numbers. And these are high-level civil servants, including IAS, IPS from India, the other equivalent from other countries. And I tell them, how are you going to be in public policy without numbers? Got to have numerical literacy. Then the second is that we are too keen to have a US trained, Indian economists reflect that flawed approach of naively elevating contextual US experience as universal. And this is only now that we are saying Bharat matters, we should do it, India comes first, we have to look at our own context and do it in our own way. The way we did COVID. COVID is a great, great example of how we did that. So local context, and I'm so glad that this program is teaching how to do that local context. And there are many different projects that I saw with different local context, and that is all to the good. Local context, empirical studies, institutional and market structures are relevant for public policy. So, and many government schemes have dashboards, extensive data to make this possible. AI will allow you large data analysis, Arjun, I may suggest that that is an area what doing 2-3 day program on large data set analysis. And then the urban and rural bodies, which this program covers. So I was very happy with the emphasis. Now, here is something that in my research I found from the Supreme Court, completely unexpected for me from the Supreme Court, from April 2024, just the recent judgment. Here is what the judgment says, that all the participants, faculty, others, everybody needs to look at the nuances of it and understand what it involves. What does it say? And this is Supreme Court, word by word. Unlike the conventional notion of sustainable development, which is where a lot of the programs are, which often pits economic growth against environmental conservation, right? All of you will be familiar with that. The dilemma here involves a nuanced interplay between safeguarding biodiversity and mitigating the impact of climate change, mitigating the impact of climate change. It is not a binary choice. And this is what many activists need to learn, that it's not either or, it's not a single cause. Okay, it's a very nuanced analysis. It is not a binary choice between conservation and development, but rather a dynamic interplay between protecting a critically endangered species and addressing the pressing global challenge of climate change. Now, what was the case? The case was about the Indian buzzard, about 100 or so left in Rajasthan and so on. And we have got a power being generated from renewable energy and so on that has to be transmitted. So now, should the transmission lines go through where the buzzards are living? So that was the case that Supreme Court was deciding, and they allowed it. By this is their main. I was very, very impressed. As I said, very surprisingly impressed by the quality of the argument that the Supreme Court has made. Okay. Here's another one. Increasing budgets on programs without improving the efficiency of the Indian state is like spending money on more fuel for an antiquated car. So you have Ambassador now and or Fiat, and you keep on putting more and more fuel, no fuel efficiency, and so on. It doesn't work. And so this is at the Artha Global. Artha, all of you know what it means. So this is a superb new book by Karthik on accelerating India's development. So when you do your work with local institutions, with state institutions, you also need to see if there are possibilities of improving the efficiencies. And we do know that there is room for, we are doing process reform, we are doing structural reforms, but lower down we get, the less there is. So judiciary, for example, at the very top, they are doing a lot of digital, others, and so on. You go down to the sessions court or others and so on, it is still something work in progress. So there's a great deal of relevance that you need to understand that the efficiencies. Now, this is a book that caught my eye doing research, and this is called The Art of Implementation. Now, why it caught my eye is that they are calling it the art. So when you are doing research and you want the research output to be implemented in terms of policy, then it is not a blueprint, it is an art. Blueprint is something you follow exactly. You want to build a bridge, you don't follow blueprint, you don't get good bridge. But in the art, it is much more complex, much more difficult, many things to do, including the readiness of the other party to do reforms. And the readiness assessment is a standard part in the recommendations about policy. Okay. Now, the type of research that you are involved in, or you have been doing, is very challenging for researchers and participants. We have said it requires maturity, good niyat on the part of the stakeholders, both sides, the other side too. The maturity requires separating researchers' own preconception and views. We all have our preconceptions from what is being learned from the qualitative research, a difficult but essential task. And this is known, you may have come across this in your lectures. It is called confirmation bias. We have some things in our mind, and we look for evidence that confirms our bias and overlook the evidence that doesn't confirm our bias. So we have to, particularly in this kind of research, we have to be very careful about this. Qualitative research involves the studied use and collection of variety of empirical materials. So case study, personal experience, introspective, life story, observation, historical, interactional, visual text, and so on, that describe routine and problematic movements and meaning in individuals' life. So it can stand by itself or be complemented by quantitative studies. Another definition is qualitative research involves collecting and analyzing non-numerical data to understand concepts, opinion, experiences, and so on to gain greater insights. Now, as you know, one of the globally a organization that does scenario research is Shell Corporation. Once I was privileged to be invited by Shell Corporation in Singapore to participate in a whole day with about 25 people in the room on scenario building. And so this is a sort of a focused group type of research. And we looked at a variety of questions. Why would Shell be interested? Well, none of us were energy experts, hardly anybody. People there were economists, political scientists, historians, others, and so on. And they were still interested in building scenarios regarding them. Okay. So we need to then, in this kind of research, understand the nuances of communications techniques. How do you communicate to the researcher, to the participants, when the research is finished in presentation? So qualitative participatory research value can be enhanced by good writing skills. So type of skills not receiving much attention nowadays in this digital age. Writing skill is becoming scarcer. So this is something that also leads to confirmation bias. I think I can skip that. That we, this is the picture of that. These are our beliefs. These are facts and evidence. And this is the evidence that we believe that basically confirms what we want to do. We have to be guarded. We can't completely eliminate it. Okay, we are humans. We cannot completely eliminate it, but we have to guard against and see that we can, how we address it. Now, once the research problem and initial research questions are identified, this is the main problem. Most of my energy with my PhD students have been spent having them identify the research problem. Okay. They want to do something revolutionary. I'll change the world and I'll try to do that. And I have to bring them narrow, doable. Get your degree, do something that is doable, not changing the world. And so research question, how to frame it requires a good guide in my view. Um, so a crucial decision has to be made in the appropriate methodology. Subsequent arrangements would be on the proper methods of data collection, and so on. A lot of students, particularly the master's students, I haven't taught undergraduate students for maybe 3 decades now. So I don't know much about them at this stage. But the master students also, a lot of time they will do convenience sampling. I said, well, how did you get this data? Oh, I asked 10 of my friends, and this is what they said. I said, well, do you know about sampling? What kind of sample is this? They say, oh, it's convenience sample, which is nonsense, right? You cannot draw any conclusions from that kind of a sample. And so you have to understand the methodology. Researchers exactly understand nature and character of their inquiries and the knowledge that they choose before adhering to a distinct research methodology based on scientific knowledge. The essence and type of research question or problem, the researcher's epistemological stance, capabilities, knowledge, skills, and training, and the resources available, all these have to be traded off, have to be balanced to get the good output. Now, here is a book which is classic. I first read it somewhere in 1963, 64. And it has stuck with me since then. It is by a guy named Darrell Huff, How to Lie with Statistics. And it's still very, very relevant, published 80 years ago. The lucidity and insights that this guy has, very few even high-level statistics books have had. This is accessible even those who don't know much about statistics. This is how to lie. And before, the books would have drawings. So some cartoonist, somebody will draw. And this one has got some wonderful cartoons to illustrate so you understand the concept. And so this is for all promised by machine learning and petabyte data scale, the most effective techniques in data sciences are still small tables, graphs, or a single number that summarizes a situation. Most policymakers will not be able to go much beyond that. Okay, so you have to give them in a simple way, but without misleading or without overestimating. As producers of tables and graphs, we need to effectively present valid summaries. As consumers of information, we need to spot misleading, exaggerated statistics which manipulate us to take action that benefit someone else at our expense. These skills fall under a category called data literacy. So a lot of things I'm sure would have been talked about. The ability to read, understand, argue with, make decisions from information, okay, not opinions. Compared to algorithms or big data processing, data literacy may not seem exciting, but it should be the basis of any data science education. Now, what are some of the lessons from the very select lessons from Darrell Huff? I'll just give the headlines. View correlations with skepticism. Okay, if you can correlate it. Correlation doesn't mean causation. That is the first thing to remember. So don't say, oh, this is associated with this. It won't. Small samples produce shocking statistics. All of your study that you are doing have got relatively small samples. So remember, your samples are not that large and you need to be very nuanced. Would you be surprised if I told you the highest cancer rates tend to be in counties with the smallest population? Not that shocking. How about when I add that the lowest cancer rates also tend to occur in counties with the lowest number of people? This is a verified example of what occurs when small sample sizes, you get extreme values. So be very, very careful of your sample size, your sample subset. Are you really representative? And the action research is particularly difficult because you already have a bias when you start and you want to do something. Okay, and participatory action research, that's why I said maturity is needed. Another example, a certain town is served by 2 hospitals. In the larger hospitals, about so many babies are born each day. Smaller hospital, about 15 babies are born. As you know, about 50% of all babies are boys. However, exact percentage varies from day to day. Sometimes may be higher, sometimes may be lower. For a period of 1 year, each hospital recorded the days on which more than 60% of the babies were born were boys. Which hospital do you think recorded more such days? Smaller. Again, the small, the small sample size produces extreme values. And we have to be aware of this. Such a simple from half. If you guess 2, then congratulations, you are data literate, and so on. And I just will leave the rest of it to you to read. Look for bias in sample selection. As I said, you don't talk to friends who already, and you say, here is my data, here is the work I do. I've had serious students submit that kind of sample to me. So, so this is important. Who is excluded in the sample, who is included, and so on. In summary, we need to be wary both of outside sampling bias and self-created sampling bias from our choice of media sources. Okay, and that's why you would have seen my research comes from variety of sources. Because today you can't take one book and you say, I just look at that. I have to look at many things to try to match and to try to understand, get a nuanced place. Don't place too much faith in any one statistics, including GDP. Okay, GDP is an estimate, and don't put too much faith in one. Look at the data was analyzed by another human who works for an institution which may have outside funders with differing motivations. And the statistics or graph was delivered to you by a publisher that had its own interest in getting you to believe in the idea. So good, healthy skepticism for researchers is needed. 2 conclusions. If you put all your faith in one number, then you will be overfitting the data to the particular circumstances. Statistics and data are never purely objective. A statistic is one interpretation of uncertain data designed to persuade. As they say, the numbers do not lie, but the liars figure. Okay, so you got to be careful on that. We should not completely abandon statistics and data gathering. With right design, studies can find critical trend, but it has to be nuanced. So we need to acknowledge data gathering and processing is an uncertain process with many factors influencing the final numbers. Humans are variable and the world is variable. That's part of what makes it so great and exciting. I've been working in economics for maybe 50 years now, and I'm still as excited about, because I always knew puzzles and the new things that you can do, because uh, different things come up. And so we should look for range of values, report numbers with confidence intervals, gather data before more data before jumping to conclusions. So anybody, for example, right now we have an election season. If somebody says, here is my poll and here is my seat projection, if they don't have a confidence interval or a standard error, plus minus 3% or 5%, I don't even look at it. The guy doesn't understand statistics. They are not single numbers. It's going to be variable. And we need to admit that we are wrong, change our minds when the burden of evidence is shifted. So this is the goal of data science. More data is not a panacea, but more data with debate, multiple analysis, and scrutiny. But in doing that, there has to be trust between the two. Niyat. If I perceive the other guy's niyat is not good, I'll be wasting my time. Or the vice versa. The other guy thinks my niyat is not good. Then you are wasting your time. Okay. The researchers also need to be aware of changing in methods of measurement. Now, India has done something very interesting change. Since April 1, just this month, the Indian government has adopted the lane kilometer concept of measuring how much highways are built. Before, it was the highway whole. So whether it is 2-lane, 4-lane, whatever, it's highway. Now they're saying lane. It will change. So, but if you are not aware of it, you will say, oh, government is lying, how come the number has gone up so much? Because you don't understand, you didn't pay attention to the change in the statistical definition. Caution about small samples and over-reliance is noted. A commonly overlooked aspect in moving from research findings to the policy suggestion is the transition cost of change from current policies to suggested policies. And I don't know how many in your project said that, okay, my research is suggesting this. If the government does changes to this, then it will be positive. But what is the cost of present condition to change? Sometimes can be huge, right? So how do you transition? And the transition costs have to be entered into by any good researcher. And we have a law of unintended consequences. So a lot of policies are done where the unintended consequences occur, and they have to be, we can't always foresee, but we should try to think out. So there are public policies with short-term cost, but medium-term benefit. Currency swap, GST. Others have short-term benefits, medium-term cost, Air India nationalization in 1956, bank nationalization in 1969, making promises of free amenities without making budgetary provision, adversely affecting fiscal management. So yeah, if you want to give, but don't sacrifice your fiscal management. There are also not just the first order, but also second and third order effects, which I don't know how many of, little bit that I heard, this aspect probably needs a little more emphasis. So the step from research findings to public policies must be very carefully considered. Oh, I found this in a small area, whole country should adopt it. No, that's a wrong learning of statistics. Public policy reforms require trust and so on, which I have emphasized. Those leading this program at IMPRI on a topic usually neglected are doing a commendable public service. Participants also deserve praise for choosing to acquire skills, and I hope you will continue with it. Several of the challenges involved in conducting this type of research and in translating it in a constructive manner to help improve outcomes have been suggested. Best wishes to all as they progress further in their chosen profession, utilizing skills and knowledge gained from this course. Dhanyavad.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you for delivering such a thorough and enlightening session. Your address seamlessly wove together the insights about our program itself and additional valuable perspectives, including the transition from research to public policy, a very important one. Whether discussing the core intent of research, the delicate balance between conservation and addressing climate change, or the lessons to be learned from data science. Your presentation was truly insightful and engaging. We thank you for being with us here today. Vibhuti ma'am, would you like to have share some remarks on the session today?
Thank you, Professor Mukul Asher. I'm really overwhelmed by the new ideas and new insights that you have given, and very important food for thought for a further probing and further rigorous research. I have just returned from Ladakh. I'm full of Ladakh now because I went for a gender responsive budget training for Ministry of Women and Child Development, Ministry of Tribal Welfare and Social Protection. And I realized I was continuously, while traveling from Leh to Kargil to this thing, all the interior parts of Ladakh, and also the budget makers of Union Territory of Ladakh. One thing I realized that the human development indicators, we have 8 indicators for development radar, we call them. Now, out of which I think nearly 4 don't apply there, because the question of tapped water, that is accessibility of tap water, that won't work there because there's so much of freezing is there. They said we don't want tap because our pipelines burst. What we need is water bodies. Yes. Second one was a question of sanitation. We always thought that sanitary toilets is a boon, no? And that is the sign of development, economic. But there they said, no, we are happy with the dry traditional toilet because we have our own practice of using the local grass and this thing for composting. And later on, the same thing is being utilized for the farming when the snow melts and farming starts. Third one was about the Janani Suraksha Yojana, which is the flagship program for the government, where if any woman in labor, she approaches the public health facility, within 30 minutes, ambulance has to reach that woman's place. Now that also would not work because it's a hilly terrain and people are living in different hamlets. So they said, here what we need is airlifting, and that's what we take help of army because there's a massive presence of army and they have helicopters and all. So the woman has to be airlifted from that place to the hospital. So we can see a country like India with such a wide variety. I think more and more I travel for the budget training in the interiors of our country. I realize what you said is so important, that we can't make generalizations and abstractions based on our lived reality. One has to be very humble and keep one's eyes and ears open and bringing the nuances of various regions. So I think area studies are very important. Both the numbers are extremely important, but at the same time, nuances are also very important. I'm really extremely rewarded. I feel that we are not only honored, but also rewarded with your word of wisdom and with such a long experience that you have had in this area of research translating into policy and implementation. Thank you, Professor Asher.
Dhanyavad.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you so much, sir. We are hoping to see you in further IMPRI events as well. Thank you so much for today's session. And with that, ma'am, would now like to proceed further with the participants' presentation. And before we start the presentation, I would like to briefly reiterate the research topics that the participants had undertaken. And I'll be sharing my screen for that shortly. So this is a list of the participants and the topics that they had undertaken. We had Abhimanyu Kumarji with us. He'll be presenting today, exploring the imperative for career guidance among high school students in the government schools, a qualitative study in Sirsa, Haryana. Then next we have Aditya Sagarji. His topic is cyber policing and
Just
cybercrime in
increase the
India.
font size. Just increase the font size.
Oh, sure, ma'am. I think I'm in present mode, so
Okay, let it be.
yeah, that's why it's full screen. It's coming like this only.
Ah.
Okay. I'll just read out, ma'am, if that's okay. Yeah, so then Aditya Sagarji's topic is cyber policing and cybercrime in India, an examination of law enforcement's digital frontier. Alka Pagareji's topic is exploring repercussions of rural-urban migration on the educational accessibility of out-of-school migrant children in Kalamboli, Panvel, Maharashtra, a qualitative study. Then we have Amna Halimji, her topic examining the landscape of press freedom in India, a qualitative study in the site of New Delhi. Ananda Srivastavji's topic is understanding the local dynamics and perceptions of consumers about use of counterfeit products in the Pune city. Then we have Arpan Patraji's topic, a qualitative study of educational landscape in West Bengal's school system from strategic improvements for equitable and qualitative learning. Then we have Charu Agarwalji's topic, exploring regulatory framework, a qualitative study of sex work legitimacy in India and the Netherlands. Then we have Dr. Kriti Singh's topic, which is impact and efficacy of system for pension administration, Raksha in the disbursement of pensions to defense veterans, an exploratory study in India's National Capital Region. Dr. Jaykishan Bhardwaj, Women in Electoral Politics in Haryana, a qualitative study of Kurukshetra. Gauravji's topic is parental perspectives on EdTech adoption for student learning, a qualitative study in the Ghaziabad region. Harshit PV, integration of technology and user experience in village libraries, a qualitative exploration of digital transformation for inclusive information access in rural Karnataka. Jaya Paul's topic is participation of women in Indian politics and political processes, a qualitative study in National Capital Territory of Delhi. Also, Jaya Paulji has shared her video presentation with us. We'll be sharing that after the participants' presentation is done. Then we have Meha Bhushanji's topic, which is access to justice for victims and survivors of child sexual abuse, a qualitative study in Jaipur, Rajasthan. Nachiket Patelji, understanding the efficacy and efficiency of town planning schemes, a qualitative exploratory study in selected cities of Maharashtra. Then we have Ritu Sinhaji's topic, which is gendered experiences of climate-induced migration in coastal communities, a qualitative study in Kerala. Roshni Babu's topic, exploring the impact of the Public Library Act of Karnataka 1965 on women, uncovering facilitators and barriers through qualitative inquiry in Raichur district. And last, Sneha Ramaniji's topic, which is unveiling the dynamics of employment situation in the construction industry with respect to gendered sociocultural influences on skilled and unskilled tasks and pathways for transformation, a qualitative exploratory study in Ahmedabad, Gujarat. With that, we have now shared all the participants and their topics that they have undertaken. Ma'am, we can now start with the presentations.
Yes.
So if anybody voluntarily wants to go first, can raise their hand. Okay, we have Aditya Sagarji has raised hand. Aditya ji, please go ahead with your presentation. Aditya ji, are you able to unmute yourself?
Yes, I'm able to unmute myself. Can you hear me?
Yeah, yes, we can hear you loud and clear.
Yeah, I'll share my screen.
Okay. I can't see him. Acha.
Hello. Sorry, the application quit.
Okay. Are you able to present, or would you like to send us and want us to present on your behalf?
No, I'm able to present now.
Okay.
Is it visible?
Yes. You can go full screen. Okay.
Yeah. So, good afternoon, everyone. My topic is on cyber policing and cybercrime in India. It is an examination of the law enforcement digital frontier. I'm Aditya Sagar, and I am pursuing law from National Law University, Delhi. Firstly, I'll introduce my topic. So basically, it's an overview of the rising incidence of cybercrime in India as digital engagement deepens. So as our PM has often flagged, we are moving towards a digital age wherein cybercrimes are bound to increase. So we are going to analyze the cybercrime in India and the law regarding the same, as well as the mechanisms that are taken up by the government's law enforcement agencies. So it's also going to be an examination of the response by law enforcement through the lens of cyber policing, which is basically looking at how the law enforcement agencies tackle such crimes, where do they lack, and the infrastructure that they are provided with, as well as the ones that are provided to those who are committing these crimes. Uh, Thirdly, we'll highlight the significance of evolving legal and technological frameworks to combat these digital crimes. Nextly, we're going to talk about my research topics, basically research objectives. So firstly, we're going to analyze the current trends, that is to analyze the scope and evolving trends of cybercrime across India. Now, in this topic, we are looking at various locations and how cybercrimes are taking place, with an emphasis on Jaipur and Rajasthan at large, of course, because the bureaucrats that I am going to interact with is going to be limited to Rajasthan in particular. So we are going to do a comparison and look at different states and in which districts in particular does cybercrime, which districts in particular make the chunk of the cybercrime that is committed in our country. Nextly, we are going to evaluate cyber policing, in which we are going to evaluate the effectiveness and readiness of India's cyber policing infrastructure and strategies. Now, this is something which is also talked about earlier in the slides. The bureaucrats that I talked to, including the DGP of Rajasthan for cybercrime, he often flagged this issue that the ones who are committing these crimes are equipped with far better technologies than our police, which is why we often lack in ensuring that these crimes are not committed. And even if we do identify a perpetuator, still it's very difficult for us to track them down with the level of technology that we have, even if we know their names. Then thirdly, we are going to talk about identifying the challenges to basically in which we will identify and discuss the primary challenges, which are technological, legal, and resource related. Here, we're also going to look at the law that hinder effective cyber policing. Then we are going to talk about assessing the impact in which how cyber policing efforts have influenced crime prevention, public awareness, and the protection of sensitive data. So the police have tried to create a public awareness about cyber crimes and how we should not be giving in to such crimes. The RBI has also made a huge effort to do so. As most of us must be aware of how we shouldn't be giving our credit card numbers or providing our bank account informations to people who just ask for it through texts or SMS or email. Then after this, the next research objective is document best practices. So in this, we are going to gather and document successful case studies and best practices in the field of cybercrime investigation and prevention. So in this, we are going to look at different countries that have different laws for the same and how their administration tackles cybercrime, as well as those of different states which are performing better than Rajasthan in terms of cybercrime. Then we are going to look at some recommendations that would be a culmination of all these factors, in which we will provide an actionable recommendation aimed at strengthening cyber policing strategy. Next, we are going to look at the key research questions. So in this, there are 6 questions. What are the most prevalent types of cyber crimes in India, and who are the primary victims? Secondly, how equipped is India's legal framework to handle the complexities of cybercrime? Thirdly, what are the strengths and limitations of the current cyber policing infrastructure? Fourthly, what specific challenges do cyber police face in the investigation and prevention of cybercrime? Fifthly, how effective are current cyber policing efforts in crime reduction and in enhancing public awareness? And sixthly, what are the proven best practices in the domain of cybercrime prevention and investigation? Now, all of these questions are centered around my research objectives, and this is essentially what my the questions that I asked to the bureaucrats were around as well. Now, I'm going to give you a brief introduction of my literature review. So although I've covered 25 research topics by now, and I'm going to do more. It's a work in progress. But for now, I will talk about the 5 key papers that I've covered. First was Bhatnakar's overview on cybersecurity, in which he explored the vulnerability of India's digital borders and the necessity for robust cyber policing. Second one was Joshi's analysis of cyber law, in which he made a critical review of India's IT laws and their effectiveness in curbing cybercrime. This paper came out after the new IT law was passed. Then, thirdly, Menon's study on cybercrime trends, in which he discussed the rising trend of cyber crimes in urban India and identified common tactics that are used by cyber criminals across the world. Fourthly, we are going to talk about Patel and Kumar's report on cyber policing efficacy. It basically evaluates the operational effectiveness and challenges faced by India's cybercrime unit. And lastly, I looked at Raj's documentary on cyber victims, which highlighted personal stories from victims of cybercrime, emphasizing the emotional and financial toll. The 5th question also helped me shape my questionnaire. After this, we are going to look at, I'm going to talk about the study location and the methodology that I used. So the location of study was Jaipur, Rajasthan, chosen for its mixed traditional heritage and modern technological adoption, and also because the IT cell of Rajasthan is situated in Jaipur. The police is IT cell. Then after this, the research tools that I use, I employed a combination of interviews, focus group discussions, and key informant interviews to gather diverse insights, which is why my interviews took a lot of time. Then thirdly, stakeholders that I interviewed, it included government officials, professionals, including journalists, lawyers, activists, and doctors, academicians, and relevant citizens with a primary focus on bureaucrats. I gained insights from engaging with the cybercrime unit of Rajasthan, which was under the headship of the DCP of cybercrime and other key officials. So basically, I interviewed their entire department, which consisted of over 30 people, including the additional SPs and all the inspectors and sub-inspectors majorly. And also, I held a personal conversation with the DCP themselves, and they highlighted several issues as well as things which I should be taking into my research paper into account. Yeah. Then lastly, I adhered to rigorous fieldwork ethics and qualitative research methodologies as guided by recent academic lectures by IMPRI. And then I would just like to express my profound gratitude to the Impact and Policy Research Institute for their generous support throughout this research fellowship. And it's an ongoing research, it's an investigation into the complexities of cybercrime, as I already talked about, and I'm committed to uncovering deeper insights and solutions. And it's a work in progress. It will be completed soon. And if I need any help, I'll surely email IMPRI. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Aditya ji, for that lovely presentation. Vibhuti ma'am, would you like to go ahead?
Aditya ji, you have done a very systematic presentation. My only query is that where will you bring the legal awareness among the citizens about cybercrime and how to negotiate, how to deal with the cybercrime, no?
Ma'am, once my paper is complete, I will look at the vulnerabilities of the citizens in particular. Like where do the citizens lack, and how are they able to how are they convinced by these people who are committing such cyber crimes into giving their, for example, say credit card details, or even issues related to privacy. Where does it all stem from? I'm going to pick out that particular issue and spread awareness about that.
No,
Which
but
is
then cyber technologies came to India 3 decades back, and we have so many major scandals and frauds. So is there awareness among the citizens and about the IT laws? We have a series of laws, no, for cybercrime. So,
Yes,
and
ma'am.
police also, cyber cell also goes to various institutions, schools and colleges, and they also give so many talks on television. So are people benefiting? Can you, in your FGD, can you include that critical reflection of the IT law, the laws on information technology, no?
Yes, ma'am.
Curtail cybercrime.
Yes, ma'am. I could include that in my research as well. Talking
I
to the
think very
citizens at
important you
large.
include it, because
Yes.
during the pandemic, we all experienced for those 2 years were nightmare for school children and the teachers and the community, because
Yes,
so
ma'am.
many like bombing of the women and all those boys locker room and WhatsApp groups which were created, which really terrorized adolescent girls and children and lonely elderly and all that. So I think now the basic awareness about the cyber crime, because the moment people see, they get unnerved because you can't see your enemy, no. So
Yes,
it is a
ma'am.
very different response to other crimes. When the petty theft takes place, you are molested, you know who the culprit is. But
Yes,
in
ma'am.
this case, there is an anonymity. So that makes people very nervous. So I think more the question even in your FGD as well as the key informant interview about the legal critical reflection on the existing law is very important. To
Yes,
what
ma'am.
extent they are enabling and to what kind of inaccess it creates, no?
Yes, ma'am. I'll include that, ma'am.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, Ali. Very good work, huh? Congratulations.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, Aditya ji. Next, we have Amna Halim ji ready to present. Amna Halim ji, do we have you here? Yes.
Yes, I'm here.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll just start.
Yeah, please go ahead. Yeah. Topic?
I hope my screen is visible.
Yeah.
Is it okay if I switch off my video?
Yes, but at least write the topic in your PPT, no? It's only showing research analysis.
Okay. I thought I would just introduce it. So hello everyone. My name is Amna Halim, and I'm going to be giving a quick update on where I am on my research and how far I've gone, and how far I've completed it. So, in a nutshell, I'm going to be talking about journalistic freedom and the state of journalism in the various states of India. The paper focuses on two essential themes: tracing the historical trajectory of journalism through a legal context, comparing and contrasting various states across India according to the metrics of the World Press Freedom Index. So, tracing the historical trajectory of journalism, most of the groundwork for the first part of the paper was based on secondary research, i.e. reading a lot of research papers. But more importantly, I think I would like to quote some, I read a lot of statistical stats-based papers in order to compare and contrast how the laws have changed from The Nation or Police Project or from the World or from the World Press Freedom Index itself, the magazine journal that they post, in order to figure out why India is standing at such a low position and how India's journey has been through where it's now. And second part is comparing and contrasting various states across India. According for this, mostly I relied on interviews with journalists. Those interviews I will talk about next. So the states that I have chosen, I chose the state of Uttar Pradesh, Bengal, Kerala, and Delhi. These might be subject to additional states because after my research, some states I found more information on rather than others. For example, there was a lot of information of Jammu and Kashmir and Orissa. However, I wasn't able to contact any of the journalists who actually write in those areas. So for now, I have only stuck to these 4 states. The reason that I chose this, Uttar Pradesh, it has the highest population, and I could get in touch with journalists who have actually written for Lucknow dailies. Bengal, because I got into similar reasons, because I could get into touch with journalists who either write in Bengali or Malayali, or who have worked in those cities as well. So that's the reason I chose these 4 states. Second, what are the metrics that I have taken? I have adopted the metrics, the exact same metrics that the World Press Freedom Index adopt. These are economic indicators, how well journalists are paid in the country, political indicators, political rights that journalists enjoy, security indicator. This is the main indicator. This indicates crimes against journalists, legislative indicators, how are the amount of cases, sedition cases that are against journalists. And this helped me with giving me, this indicator helped me give a legal framework of contextualizing the trajectory of journalism in India. And lastly, social indicators. This is a general indicator of how journalists are perceived in society, how they are treated in society. And these were adopted from the World Press Freedom Index. Secondly, research questions. My research analysis went in 2 parts. First, with the research questions for lawyers and law academicians. These existed: what are laws that protect journalists? How have these laws changed over time? Are these laws enough to protect journalists in our country? How do the new amendment bills change the landscape of journalists? Has there been a significant rise on cases of defamation and sedition? If yes, what are its implications? These were separate questions for lawyers and people who belong to legal academia. Second is questions for journalists and media academicians. What are some new hindrances that have emerged that journalists are facing in India in the past 10 years? Why does India rank so low in the World Freedom Index? Is India's low ranking a sign of grave concern? How has the notion of journalism changed over time with more emphasis on soft journalism? How has the profession transformed? It is also important to note that all these questions were asked in the context of their portfolio, which has been kept anonymous, as well as the place that they are writing in. So a lot of my answers comes to through contextualization. So for example, a journalist, a lot of these questions become significant when the journalist is writing in Bengali and Hindi. And the questions are same for all languages. Lastly, what is my research methodology? In this research, both primary as well as secondary data was collected. Secondary data was available through articles, books, and journals, some that I have quoted. And as far as primary data goes, I conducted interviews, mostly telephonic, as well as some online interviews. Or the interview pool consists of 10 respondents. Most of them were journalists and media academics. 3 of them were lawyers and legal academics, to give us a picture of the legal structure of how journalism has transformed. As mentioned before, I was only able to conduct 2 offline interviews, and I have pictures later. But lastly, some basic research findings. So all papers that I will quote say that there has been an increase in hostility, especially cases against journalism. Journalists are on the rise, and these cases have not had any sort of verdict being said. That means they are stagnant cases that are not being catered to. Stricter policies against freedom of speech have been observed. That means freedom of speech is being constricted through of journalists. There's an increasing number of deaths of journalists. Rise of soft journalism, which basically means journalism is no longer focusing on hardcore issues. Now it's moved to a more lifestyle, it's focusing on lifestyle journalism or things or issues that are not as serious issues. The focus is a lot on the entertainment industry, etc. Drastic change in profession. So I think a lot of journalists agree that with the upcoming of online journalism, a lot of people have now had the agency to write on behalf of journalists, which is a matter of grave concern. All these research findings are based on my interviews as well as the research that I did. Also to note that most of these interviews were in the way these journalists wanted to be interviewed is in a slightly conversational and informal setup, which is to say that most of the journalists went on tangents and they spoke about their profession as well. So those are the kind of responses I received. Lastly, I was only able to get some pictures. So this is a picture. I was interviewing Shohini Ghosh at Jamia Millia University. She is the HOD for the renowned mass media department of Jamia. So these were the only pictures that I was able to get from there. Thank you.
Thank you, Amna ji. Ma'am, would you
So,
like?
Amna ji, you are going to focus on both regional as well as English journalism and also national and global news, no?
Ma'am, no. So basically, my focus is not so much on global news. Yes, national dailies as well as regional dailies.
But even in terms of coverage,
In terms of coverage of Indian journalism.
yeah.
Yes, ma'am, I have mentioned
No. But Indian newspapers and journalism also deals with the global issues, no?
Yes, ma'am.
So there also you think there are constraints as per the diplomatic policy of our country?
Oh,
Or at that stage, there is little more freedom which journalists have who write on global issues?
So that is one area that I hadn't really asked a lot of questions about global issues. Most of my questions were about the response that they get from Indian audience or regional audience for that matter. I haven't really covered.
Because after G20, India's presence in global, India's opinion on global issues also has now become very seriously taken, no, by the global communities as well as the media. Whether it is a Palestine issue or Ukraine or recent Iran negotiation with Iran or the oil prices or Afghanistan situation or the geopolitics in the South Asia and all.
Okay, ma'am. I'll add that more because this research is still ongoing.
Yeah. Because G20 has changed the dynamics.
Okay.
India hosting G20.
Okay, ma'am.
Yeah.
Any other feedback?
Yeah, no. It's a very, very powerful and very robust proposal that you have made. And also you have been able to interview. That is also very important. Get the people to respond to your research questions is very important.
Also, I have to mail this presentation.
Hello?
Do I have to mail this presentation?
I think now you have to write the paper, no?
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you, Amna ji.
That
Next,
you asked the IMPRI team, huh? Priyanka ji, does she need to send PPT to you?
ma'am, since she has already presented, I don't think it's,
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, now
So,
focus on,
yes.
so there the word limit is 3,500. What's the word limit we have given?
Yes, ma'am, around 3,500.
3,500,
Yeah.
standard, 35 to 5,000. 35
Yeah.
to 5,000.
In case anybody has doubt, you can always look up in the guidelines document we have
Guidelines.
submitted. We've given time and again, so please go through that if you have some confusion about the word limit or style guidelines or anything. Next, Ananda Srivastav ji, would you like to go ahead?
Ananda Srivastav.
Hello.
Yes, Anandaji.
Yes, I'm just sharing my research report.
Okay, you're not very clear though.
So
Can you
whether
come
I'm
closer to
audible
the
or not.
mic?
Just a minute. Now I'm audible?
Yes, you're audible, but it's your sound is really low.
Okay, just a minute. See my speaker. Is it better now?
Yes, it's better.
Okay. Just let me share my research report. So is it visible? Can I start now?
Yes, please go ahead.
Okay, so good afternoon. My research report is related to the understanding the dynamics of counterfeiting products or goods in Pune city. So basically, I'm just sharing the data that I have collected. Before that, just look at my objectives, what I have done. The primary two questions that I have is how does the price of counterfeit goods influence the consumer's intention to purchase this product?
You are not audible, and even the font size of your PPT is extremely small. It's very strenuous to read.
Please give me time. I will just select my speaker.
Make it 16 or 18.
Or you can just zoom.
Zoom is also very strenuous. Yeah. Okay, now we can read. It will come closer to the mic, no? Yeah, fine. Understanding the local dynamics and perceptions of consumers about counterfeit products information. Yeah, please go ahead. Anindyaji, please speak. You are muted. Please unmute yourself. Is there a problem of bandwidth? Should I switch off my video and audio? Will it be more will it be easy for you?
Then just a minute. Can I arrange my speaker and then I will present?
Yeah. Okay. Now we can hear you. Yes.
Okay, I am audible now?
Yeah.
Okay, ma'am. So my topic is about understanding the local dynamics of consumerism related to counterfeiting goods. So the primary research question that I have is that how does the price of counterfeit goods influence the consumer's intention to purchase those products? And the second is the level of awareness related to the counterfeiting goods among the consumers. So the present two hypotheses that I have is low price of counterfeit goods, whether it has a significant impact on consumer intention or not. And the second is the awareness regarding the law of counterfeiting towards the consumers. So the data that I have collected is around 134 people. And through that, what I have analyzed is that, is it visible now?
Yes, it's visible.
Yes. So the age group that I have concentrated is about 18. Those basically these are the students or the working class people, and they have the general income based between 1 lakh to 10,000. And second, so this is what I have collected, that whether they check the product before buying or not, and most of them check this thing. It shows that they know what they are buying at present. And this one is my principal question, that is question number 3. Then I move to question number 4. So this is related to the question number 3 only. most of them people check this thing and they are able to distinguish whether they are buying a counterfeit good or a original product. And here we can see this thing. And the only reason they buy this goods is because of its cheap price. And therefore, if I look at my analysis on look, so my first hypothesis, that is the low price of counterfeit goods has a significant impact on consumer intention or not, stands correct. And the reason behind is that they prefer those products which are cheap, and therefore it is convenient for them to buy the same set of products and maintain a similar social status, though it hampers the entire market and the reputation of brand. But until now, I'm still researching on my second topic, and regarding the raw aspect of awareness. If you look at my questionnaire, that most of the consumers understand that they are buying the counterfeiting product. It means they are aware, but at the same time they are purchasing. It shows that there's a less, or we don't have a very stringent law regarding the counterfeiting product. The only law that works is Trademark Act 1999 from section 102 to 121, which is connected to the falsification of marks. So at present, what I have analyzed is that we need more stringent laws so that we can protect all the original products, because we can't control the consumer's perception towards a product, because the only thing they want is to buy a product for their convenience. But to control that market, we can stop the source or the origin from where this counterfeiting products are generating. So this is what I have analyzed till now. Is it okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
But are you going to examine the legal dimensions? How many such cases have taken place? Are there have been the landmark judgments regarding counterfeit products?
Yes.
And the role of Consumers Association of India.
Okay, ma'am. I didn't think about role of Consumer Association, but
because in Bombay it's quite active. And earlier there was a journalist, Shakuntala Narasimha. She used to write a lot about all these counterfeit products, and especially in the pharma industries, no? Which because 40% of the drugs produced by small-scale industries are spurious, and we saw the case of so many children in Africa dying because of the cough syrup. No, that was also this thing which India exported to African countries and all. So there have been time and again, we have also seen about the glycerol thing. No, there was a big judgment which came, I think Justice Lenton gave on malpractice in glycerol, which was provided to the government hospitals in Maharashtra, and so many people died. No, so all those landmark judgments, if you can include, it will increase the value of your research.
Yes, ma'am. Of course.
Just can go through Manusmriti. Manusmriti is the portal where all the landmark judgments are given. So if you just key in counterfeit product, you will get so many judgments regarding counterfeit products. In the pharmaceuticals, in the even milk adulteration cases have been there. There have been cases of polio vaccine also, in which children in Nanded died in a big number, where the proper care was not taken, and they had used them. Then the use of expiry drugs, no, which is also
Yes.
marketed by the distributors and all.
Okay. Can I stop?
Yeah, hello?
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
Anandaji, yes, you could stop
Yeah.
presenting.
Okay.
Yes. Okay, thank you, Anandaji. Thank you, ma'am. Next, we can have Meha Bhushanji.
Yeah.
Meha Bhushanji, are you able to unmute yourself?
Yes. Hello, ma'am. Just a minute, ma'am. Am I
Uh,
audible?
yeah, but your sound is really low. Can you get closer to mic?
Sure. Now is it fine?
Yes, a little better.
Ma'am, from where we are able to like present, I'm not able to.
Can you see on your Zoom this below where you have this mic and start video and all those options? You can see one share screen, right?
No. Can I just mail you the paper right now?
Yes,
On
yes,
like
please do.
Vibhuti itself.
Yes, that works.
Right, thank you. Ma'am, please check your email.
Yeah.
Okay, okay.
Priyanka, ma'am, I have mailed it to you.
You have mailed it to me.
Yes, ma'am.
Sure, I've received it. I'll be presenting it now.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So good afternoon, ma'am. So I'm Neha Bhushan and my topic for research is access to justice for victims and survivors of child sexual abuse, a qualitative study in Jaipur, Rajasthan. Next slide, please. So coming on to the statement of problem, first of all, we have the POCSO Act, which came in 2012, dealing exclusively with the issues of child sexual abuse. The rest apart, when we see the act in general, it's perfectly like doing justice in many of the cases, like many of the instances. Rest apart, the main concern rises with the implementation of the act. Hence, the paper will be discussing the issues that needs to be revisited by the various stakeholders in order to provide comprehensive care for the same, to ensure that justice is given to the children who are sexually victimized. Ma'am, next slide, please. So in the literature review, like obviously we have various studies which have already been conducted in the area, and few of the prominent studies when we talk about the implementation check of the POCSO Act are the ones which have been done by the Vidhi and the HUC and the other agencies. But the main thing which is over here concerning is that these agencies have done the study which is on a larger perspective. When we narrow down the scope, at that time only you are able to get hold of the pinpoint issues about why and how the concern is arising. So that's the novelty of my study. Now next slide, please. So coming on to the research questions, the first research question of my paper is that are the victims of the child sexual abuse being benefited from the law, that's the POCSO Act? And if yes, what are the exact benefits which they are receiving? And if there are any challenges faced by the victims to get the legal redressal? And what are the like basic challenges and how are these challenges like they are facing? And third question is the relief adequate according to the abuse faced by the victim? Because we see that obviously there are like reliefs, but are these reliefs, the quantum of the relief is properly doing justice with the quantum of the abuse faced, and when the reliefs are being given to the victims? That's the main question over here, which would be addressed in the paper. Ma'am, next slide. So coming on to the research methodology, as said in the title itself, it's a qualitative paper, and rest apart, case study method would be used and interview method would be unstructured interview method would be used, whereby First of all, 4 survivors of the child sexual abuse would be interviewed, 3 lawyers which are specializing in such cases, like including 1 special public prosecutor for the POXO cases. Then the defense lawyer is also being covered to make sure that both of the perspective of the POXO cases are being dealt. And then thereby 3 social workers from different, like who are associated with different NGOs in Jaipur, Rajasthan, they will be interviewed. Now coming on to the sampling, as said that the survivors and the lawyer sampling, they have been they have been sampled using the purposive sampling method, and same as with the social worker sampling too. Basically, the snowball sampling method has been used from one to other. We have got these samples, and then thereby that's how we have got each of our samples in the research paper. Next slide. So coming on to the data collection, as stated earlier, the semi-structured interviews has been in fact conducted for the survivors, lawyers, and the social workers to gather the comprehensive insights into their experiences, perspectives, and roles in addressing the child sexual abuse cases. And the responses of each of the participants have not been recorded because in fact, the lawyers have also objected on the question of recording, even the voice recording of the interviews. So hence, the responses of all the participants have been written on paper, and they have been all read out to the participants, and then thereby signatures of each and every participant has been properly took on the specified respective documents of their transcripts. And interviews, as said earlier, they aren't electronically recorded because in order to moreover ensure that confidentiality and privacy of the issue, because many of the victims and the survivors, they also objected on the question of being recorded. So that's the concern why the responses were took into written. Next slide. So coming on to the data analysis part, once we have got all the data of the interviews, so now the thematic analysis have been done, analyzing each and every different themes under which their responses is covered, and then thereby data triangulation has been done to make sure to compare and contrast the various perspectives of different stakeholders. Like as said earlier, we have even covered the defense lawyers also. So few perspectives there are from the public prosecutor or the victim side lawyers. In contrast, we have few responses of the defense lawyers, and same goes with the victims' responses too. So in that case, data triangulation has been done. Next slide. And in the whole case, we have definitely took the ethical norms into consideration, respecting the proper confidentiality of each and every responses and of our participants. So that's it, ma'am. And next slide, I believe there's the questionnaire. These are the questionnaire. First questionnaire is for the survivors of the child sexual abuse, where first question is like regarding what's your experience, and then how they were able to get hold of the access of services, and what challenges they faced during the access of justice, and so on. Ma'am, have you read the questions or should I read it out?
No, it's okay. We can read them.
Okay. And then the next slide is with the lawyer's questionnaire for the people who are handling the child sexual abuse cases. And the third slide is with the questionnaire for the social workers. And next slide, ma'am. So these questions are basically open-ended, and some of the modifications are being done according to the responses of the people. Ma'am, one concern where I am being stuck is that among the 5 survivors and the victims of POXO, only one case is there which has been properly registered. The person was he was given, the accused was given punishment, and thereby the whole case is there. Rest apart, 4 survivors are there who are right now of 30 to 35 age group. They are properly grown up, and it's like what happened in their past and how the child sexual abuse concern they had faced while complaining. So can we include those responses or not in this paper?
Yeah, I think you should.
Ma'am, because POXO has that mandatory reporting clause.
But that is why we should discuss, no, because it's a very important issue, because dilemma of the doctors, and so many times survivors, they just don't they disappear, no.
Ma'am, my concern is like I'm also a person who is getting to know that something these things like happened in their past. Rest apart, the victims definitely right now they are properly adult. They could have like gone to the legal redressal if they could have like wished for the same. क्योंकि बेसिकली तो मैंडेटरी रिपोर्टिंग का जो रीजन था कि बच्चों को आप लीगल रिड्रेसल पहुंचाओ कैसे भी, इसलिए
नहीं।
बेसिक इंस्टिंक्ट आया था। मैम
हाँ।
मेरे पे तो क्वेश्चन नहीं होगा ना, मेरा कंसर्न बस ये है क्योंकि
नहीं,
ये
नहीं,
लोग
you
केस
just
ही
are
नहीं थे।
anonymizing everything, no.
यस मैम, यहाँ पे तो कहीं भी
No,
किसी का नाम नहीं डाला
okay,
है।
it is being seriously debated among the women's rights organizations, lawyers, and even the judges, because the future of the girl is at stake, no, child is at stake.
यस मैम
So
लाइक
it is seriously debated, because even doctors have that they do see after the abuse, child deserves medical attention, which is very important. But the doctor said that yes, we are ready to give medical attention, but mandatory reporting is going putting us in a dilemma. On the one hand, we have welfare of this girl in our heart, and other thing, if we call the police, then because and her family suffers, no.
मैम
They
सो आई
face
कैन
retaliation.
कोट दोस केसेस आल्सो बिकॉज़
Yeah,
आई
yeah, you can just put it
हैव
into inverted comma. Yes.
ओके ओके,
Yeah.
थैंक यू मैम, थैंक यू।
Yeah.
सो दैट्स इट, दैट्स द
Yeah.
होल थिंग।
No, it's very good. You won't be able to get more than 3, no?
Ma'am, like I have basically 5 responses in hand,
Ah.
in which one is a girl about whom I said that accused has been released after getting the punishment. He served the punishment and now he has been released. And rest apart, 4 other responses are there, among which 2 responses is from a like same house. 2 daughters were abused by their father itself, but there are different experience of these 2 sisters, because one didn't voiced up and the other she voiced up and how she faced the, so
Yeah,
they
nonsense.
have a different story. And then thereafter there are 2 responses of 2 different girls. So they are right now grown up, but one was abused by her brother and another was abused in her school.
So I think 5 you should.
5.
5 is
There are
enough.
basically 5, but
Yeah.
4 of the people they didn't like they, although they resorted to their family members or other elders, but none of the police complaint or anything was filed at that time.
Yeah, incestuous it was. Yeah.
Yes, in 4 cases, no complaint was filed, no legal redressal was
Yeah, but still,
taken to her.
the experience is very important.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. And in fact, what they are experiencing right now also, because although they have like grown up, but what they faced in their child, that trauma is still like
Yeah.
continuing and has
Yeah,
effect.
very traumatic. Yeah, it
So
will have a
we can,
lifelong continue.
yes, ma'am. So I can like quote all those 5
Yes, yes.
interviews
Yeah,
in that
yeah.
case. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Thank you, ma'am. And ma'am, any
Good
other?
one, Neha. Yeah. And your review of literature is strong, no? You have taken care of all the documents and all
Yes.
the research is done so far. Majlis's work and all, because Majlis
Ji,
has several publications. Yeah.
Ji, ma'am. Ji, ma'am. I have
Yeah.
done that.
Oh, yeah.
And ma'am, any other rectification or correction needed?
No,
Because
and I think the National Commission for Women and the Ministry of Women and Child Development and Women Power Connect, and CSR, Center for Social Research, they have worked in this area and they have come up with a lot of resource books and advisory and guidebook for the practitioners and all that. So just go through the website of NCW, Ministry of Women and Child Development, Center for Social Research and Women Power Connect.
okay, okay. Thank you, ma'am. Thanks a lot, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, Mehaji. Thank you, ma'am. And
Yeah.
with regards to this presentation, Charuji has put up a question also. Does abuse include emotional abuse as well? I understand it is only sexual or molestation abuse.
That is good.
No, ma'am. Emotional abuse isn't included in the perform of the child sexual abuse. It's like penetration, and without penetration also, like as we had the case where the person was touching the chest of the girl. So it's like sexual abuse if you are touching inappropriately the child, whether it would be a boy, girl, even if a transgender child. Rest apart, the verbal things won't be covered. The pornographic things will be definitely covered when you are inciting the child with the pornographic material. So that's covered.
Thank you, Meha ji. Next, ma'am, we can have Abhimanyu Kumar ji. Abhimanyu ji, if you're ready, I'll present your paper.
हाँ जी, हाँ जी।
Okay, sure. Just give me a second.
Yeah.
Okay. If I go full screen, ma'am, then we'll have the same problem. So I'm just gonna stay in this mode only.
Fine, fine.
कोई नहीं,
Yeah.
मैं बता देता हूँ। सबको गुड आफ्टरनून। तो बेसिकली मेरा जो टॉपिक था वो ये समझना था कि हाई स्कूल
Secondary
में जो
school.
बच्चे पढ़ रहे हैं गवर्नमेंट ऑफ हरियाणा स्कूल में, तो उनके बीच में कैरियर एस्पिरेशन और गाइडेंस लेकर के क्या नीड है, बेसिकली इसको समझना था। तो ये मैंने सिरसा के 2 स्कूलों में बच्चों के साथ इंटरव्यू कंडक्ट किया था, जहाँ पे फेस टू फेस मैं इंटरव्यू उनके साथ कर रहा था। और हाँ, तो बेसिकली हमने करीब अराउंड 30 स्टूडेंट के साथ बात किया था। इसके लिए एक सेटअप क्वेश्चनायर वगैरह था, जो आप रिसर्च पेपर में आगे देख पाएंगे। अभी वो इंक्लूड नहीं है। यहाँ पे हम उनसे उनके फेवरेट सब्जेक्ट वगैरह और अभी कोई सेशन वगैरह चल रहा है या नहीं, बच्चों से वो किस तरह से बात करते हैं अपने करियर को लेकर के, क्या आगे क्या वो ऑप्ट करने वाले हैं सब्जेक्ट वगैरह, या इस तरह की इंफॉर्मेशन कहाँ से कलेक्ट करते हैं, फैमिली में उनकी बात होता है या नहीं, टीचर उस तरह का सेशन लेते हैं या नहीं, या कोई बाहर से कोई पर्सन आता है या टीचर उनके इंफॉर्मेशन देते हैं, या प्रॉपर का एक सेशन होता है, या फिर वो बस इन जनरल उनके साथ बातचीत होता है। तो इस तरह के क्वेश्चन थे, जहाँ पे हमें बेसिकली उनसे चीज़ों को समझना था कि वो कहाँ से इंफॉर्मेशन वगैरह कलेक्ट कर रहे हैं, और वो प्रॉपर उनको मिल भी रहा है या नहीं, या फिर सिर्फ वो चीज़ें। तो इसके लिए मैंने काफ़ी सारे रिसर्च पेपर वगैरह पढ़े थे, बट एक होता है कि जो ज़्यादा चीज़ें अच्छे से हमें थोड़ा सा अपने आप को मैं वहाँ से कनेक्ट कर पा रहा था। एक तो सुलेमान बालसी हैं, इनके रिसर्च पेपर था, जहाँ पे वो एक लार्ज लेवल पे करियर गाइडेंस की क्या नीड है, वो इसके बारे में वो मतलब वो चीज़ों को थोड़ा सा उस पे उनकी जो पेपर है वो थोड़ा सा वो दर्शाती है कि हाँ, वो मिडिल स्कूल में जो स्टूडेंट है उसकी करियर गाइडेंस की क्या नीड है या नहीं है, इसके बारे में। और दूसरा एक जालंधर के बेस्ट डिस्ट्रिक्ट में ही था, पंजाब का, जहाँ पे मनजोत कौर और उनके साथ और भी पर्सन थे, जो बेसिकली सेकेंडरी और हायर सेकेंडरी स्टूडेंट के साथ गाइडेंस की नीड है या नहीं, इस पे उन्होंने रिसर्च किया था, जहाँ पे उनके नंबर ऑफ स्टूडेंट काफ़ी ज़्यादा थे, मोर देन अराउंड 200 के लगभग, जहाँ पे उन्होंने काफ़ी अच्छे से चीज़ों को डिस्क्राइब रखा था। तो मुझे थोड़ा सा वहाँ से अपने आप को काफ़ी हेल्पफुल रहा है मेरे लिए। तो इसलिए मैंने और भी 2-3 राइटर्स का मैंने रिसर्च पेपर पढ़ा, बट ये चीज़ें मुझे ज़्यादा नियर बाई मेरे टॉपिक से लगा, और फिर मुझे लगा कि ज़्यादा मैं इससे हेल्प रहा है, तो इसलिए मैंने यहाँ पे पुट किया है इन दोनों को। और बेसिकली मेथोलॉजी यही था कि हम फेस टू फेस बच्चों से बात कर रहे थे। टेलीफोनिक मैंने 1-2 इंटरव्यू बच्चों का लिया था, बट मुझे लगा कि ज़्यादा अच्छे से आउटपुट उनके फेस टू फेस ही होगा, तो मैंने फेस टू फेस उनके साथ इंटरव्यू वगैरह कंडक्ट किया था। और जो चीज़ें समझ में आई ना उनसे बात करके, कि उसके क्या इम्पैक्ट वगैरह हैं, किस तरह से उनके एस्पिरेशन और नीड गाइडेंस पे क्या नीड है, तो वहाँ पे उनके फैमिली इफेक्ट काफ़ी दिखता है, कि अगर वो इंस्पायर वगैरह होते हैं अपने एस्पिरेशन को लेकर के, कि अगर उनके फैमिली में या नियर बाई कोई रिलेटिव हैं, या नियर बाई विलेज में सराउंडिंग अगर हैं, तो वहाँ से उसका इम्पैक्ट ज़्यादा दिखता है उनकी किसी भी अपने कैरियर बनाने के लेकर के। तो और काफी सारे ऐसे भी स्टूडेंट होते जो अलग अलग, अगर उनका फैमिली बैकग्राउंड एजुकेटेड है तो उनको इंफॉर्मेशन प्रॉपर तरीके से मिल रहा है, या फिर अगर उनकी फैमिली बैकग्राउंड एजुकेटेड नहीं है तो वो छोटे छोटे टुकड़ों में इधर से उधर इंफॉर्मेशन वगैरह वो कलेक्ट कर रहे होते हैं। और उनको एक जो प्रॉपर इंफॉर्मेशन चाहिए अपने एक्सप्रेशन के लिए या उनके गाइड के लिए कि वो वहां से उनको नहीं मिल पाता। वो हर एक पर्सन टू पर्सन वेरी करता है। और जैसे मैं इस चीज को समझने के लिए कि उनकी कि उनकी मेरा क्वेश्चन था उनके फादर वगैरह क्या करते हैं वहां पे, वो और उनके फादर की स्टडी कहाँ तक हुई है, तो ये सारी चीजें वो दिखा रहा था कि जिनके फादर थोड़े से एजुकेटेड हैं और तो वो अपने बच्चों के साथ इस चीज पे बात भी करते हैं, या फिर उनको सोर्स बताते हैं, या फिर अगर वो पढ़े हैं और जिस एरिया में वो अपना कैरियर बनाए हुए हैं तो वहाँ पे वो उस तरीके से ड्राइव करते हैं अपने स्टूडेंट अपने चाइल्ड को कि वो भी उस एरिया में अ, अपने कैरियर को लेकर के आगे बढ़े। तो बेसिकली वो और अब जब जैसा कि मैंने भी बता भी रहा था कि उनकी हम फेवरेट सब्जेक्ट वगैरह समझना चाह रहे थे कि कहाँ से वो अगर अपना कैरियर बनाना चाह रहे हैं तो उससे वो अलाइन हो रहा है या नहीं उनके फेवरेट सब्जेक्ट, या जिस वो सेक्टर या फील्ड में अपने कैरियर को देख रहे हैं या एस्पिरेशन उनका है वहाँ पे उस एस्पिरेशन से अलाइन उनके सब्जेक्ट है या नहीं। अ, और फिर उनके सोर्स ऑफ इंफॉर्मेशन जैसा भी मैंने बताया कि काफी टुकड़े, कुछ के पेरेंट्स जो एजुकेटेड हैं वो काफी सही तरीके से इंफॉर्मेशन ले रहे हैं और कुछ को टुकड़े टुकड़ों में इंफॉर्मेशन मिल रहा है जो प्रॉपर एक वे में इंफॉर्मेशन वगैरह उन्हें नहीं मिल रहा है। तो इसके लिए है कि अगर हम एक सभी स्टूडेंट को एक प्रॉपर इंफॉर्मेशन मिले जहाँ पे पूरे गाइडलाइंस हो तो वो शायद अपने एस्पिरेशन को या फिर अपने कैरियर को सही डायरेक्शन में और काफी सोच समझ करके वो डिसाइड करेंगे और उस बेस पे अपने आगे आने वाले टाइम में सब्जेक्ट वगैरह भी वो चूज कर रहे होंगे। और इसके लिए है कि हम जो भी क्योंकि काफी बच्चों के पास वो यूट्यूब वगैरह से इंफॉर्मेशन वगैरह कलेक्ट कर रहे होते हैं ना अपने पेरेंट्स के अलावा। तो अगर हम कोई इस तरह का कोर्स वगैरह डिजाइन करें या इंफॉर्मेशन वगैरह दे तो हाइब्रिड टाइप का जहाँ पे हम उन्हें कुछ ऑफलाइन या ऑनलाइन जैसे सेशन वगैरह प्रोवाइड करवा पाएं। और क्योंकि काफी बच्चों के प्राइमरी इंफॉर्मेशन वाले सोर्स टीचर होते हैं और काफी मैं बात बच्चों से बात करके देखने के लिए मिला कि उन्हें एक प्रॉपर सेशन ना मिल करके इसके रिगार्डिंग उन्हें बस टुकड़ों टुकड़ों में टीचर के द्वारा ही बताया जाता है कि अच्छे से पढ़ लो तो आगे तुम अच्छा बन पाओगे, तुम्हारा जो अच्छा सब्जेक्ट होगा उसमें तुम अच्छा से अपना कैरियर बना सकते हो, दिस टाइप ऑफ। और ये पेपर वगैरह लिखने के लिए और फिर इस चीज को और थोड़े से समझने के लिए मैंने रेफरेंस लिया था। दो तीन वेबसाइट है जैसे एक वेन वर्ड्स करके वेबसाइट है और फिर फाउंडिट वेबसाइट है वहां से। दैट्स ऑल।
Ma'am, you're on mute.
I said that you will be doing mixed method, no? Because simple frequency tables can be useful of the interviews that you have conducted. So the quantitative dimension we get, and whatever you have observed, and either case studies or into inverted comma, you can put their sentences of the respondents, both students and teachers, and other if the parents are also involved in it. How are you going to bring in the both qualitative and quantitative dimension? Abhimanyu ji?
हाँ जी हाँ जी।
हाँ, आप सिंपल फ्रीक्वेंसी टेबल बनाएंगे क्वांटिटेटिव डेटा के बारे में, डेमोग्राफिक डेटा जो है वो,
ठीक है।
और इंटरव्यूज जो आपने लिए हैं उनमें से जो अच्छी बहुत महत्व की बातें बाहर आई है उसको आप इंटू इन्वर्टेड कॉमा में डाल के उनके सेंटेंस ये करके कर सकते हैं, या तो फिर इन डेप्थ केस स्टडीज भी यदि आपको करने हो कि बहुत अच्छे अच्छे रिस्पॉन्सेज आए हैं तो उनका आप केस स्टडीज भी कर सकते हैं। आपने एफजीडी किए थे, फोकस ग्रुप डिस्कशंस?
नहीं, मैंने उनसे 1 by 1 बात की।
1 by, तो 1 by 1 में से जो अच्छे अच्छे अलग अलग प्रकार के जो आपको केस स्टडीज मिले हो वो भी डाल सकते हैं, और जितने आपने जो फॉर्म भरवाए हैं, शेड्यूल भरे हैं, उनका आप सिंपल फ्रीक्वेंसी टेबल बना के भी रख सकते हो। अभी हमारे एक्सपर्ट ने कहा ना कि दे आर ऑल्सो वेरी यूजफुल। या हेलो,
हाँ हाँ हाँ
आपने लिखना शुरू कर दिया है ना?
हाँ जी, हाँ
जी, ओके।
ठीक है,
Okay,
तो
कोडिंग और
मैं बात
टेबुलेशन
करता
हो
हूँ।
गया? हेलो
हाँ
अभिमन्यु
हाँ,
जी,
बोलिए।
कोडिंग टेबुलेशन हो गया?
मैं नहीं समझा।
आपने टेबल बना दिए?
हाँ हाँ, मैंने टेबल बनाया है।
अच्छा, और फिर दूसरे केस स्टडीज आप डालेंगे, अच्छे से हो जाएगा। ठीक है, ओके, थैंक यू अभिमन्यु, अच्छा काम हो गया।
thank you, ma'am. Thank you, Abhimanyu ji.
हाँ,
Okay, so next, Charu ji, will you be presenting?
No, I don't have anything to present. I haven't worked on the project for 2 months, but I just attended the today's
Uh,
session.
could you speak up a little? Sorry.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
So I haven't worked on the project for 2 months now. I just wanted to attend the session today.
Okay, sure. Ma'am, we have another video presentation. Jaya Paul ji couldn't be here today, so she
yeah,
submitted
she
her
has
video.
sent it. She has shared her PDF also, and she has
Yes,
been sending like various drafts, and I have been responding and all that. Yeah.
yes, ma'am. So I'll be sharing her video if it's okay.
हाँ, yeah, correct.
Okay, ma'am.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll share.
Greetings to one and all present over here.
Yeah.
It gives me immense pleasure to present to you today a PPT based on my research paper titled as Participation of Women in the Electoral Politics and Political Processes in India. I am Jaya Paul from the Lady Shriram College for Women, University of Delhi. Firstly, before moving forward with my presentation, I would like to express my heartfelt gratitude toward the entire IMPRI team for this immersive public policy course throughout these months. I would also like to place my heartfelt apologies to all of you because I'm not being able to attend this valedictory ceremony because of an exam on the 20th of April, but I extend my best wishes and warm greetings to all of you. So moving forward with my presentation.
Yeah.
Today, we will be covering shortly about introducing you with the topic of my presentation while highlighting my literature reviews. Also, we will be talking about the findings from my field work and the emerging concerns that I've come to know from my stakeholders. I've also listed some of the recommendations before concluding my presentation. So, coming to the very fact that we still talk about women's emancipation in politics, in generally in the societal sphere, is actually implying to the very fact that women are still not empowered and they still need to be emancipated. A caution at the beginning is that my area of research is very restricted, that is within my college boundaries, that is LSR. But I would also like to point out that LSR is a very diverse place. It encompasses young and brilliant minds from across the lengths and breadths of the country. And while doing my research, I've come to know the perspectives, the opinions, the thoughts of various localities from various corners of our country. and I will be highlighting over here. So this is the highlight of my literature review, and as you can see, I have taken around 5 of the very relevant literature review according to my research topic. There have been many works on this very topic, but I have chosen this 5 as I've my ideas have seem to be coinciding with this research papers. And the most important thing that almost everyone has pointed out, that women's participation in the political processes and politics in general in India is very limited as compared to men. Okay. And there are many various societal, political, economic, societal, gender stereotypes that we all know actually hinder women's participation in the political processes. And now the general elections are since going on. I have a data for you all. That's in the first phase of the general election, there was around 102 constituencies went to poll, which saw around 1,625 candidates. And guess what? Only 8% of them, that is around only 134, were women. But interestingly, the number of female voters are going up every year. So how is it even possible? Female voters are going up, but the female candidates are not. It's actually because we don't need to be very elated to know that, oh my God, a female, are voting in so many numbers. It can simply be the fact that they're voting, not even knowing whom they're voting, to which party they're voting to, for what they're voting to. It can simply because everyone in the family is doing so. The male head of the family has decided for whom we should vote, and everyone in the family does so. And that's not really very much of awareness and capacity building that we can already talk about. The political awareness amongst the women in India regarding political processes and politics is still very low. These are some of the findings from the field work that I've conducted and the emerging concerns. Firstly, we can see that there's a lack of political awareness and training. So while talking to my stakeholders, one of my stakeholders correctly pointed out that while there's chai pe charcha kind of thing on politics, on rajnitik charcha, on local levels, at state level or national level, women are expected not to participate in their discussion. Women are expected to just prepare the tea, which can actually enhance the chai pe charcha more, but they're not actually should contribute to the charcha except the tea that they make. So they are very much restricted within the domestic roles, and economics, politics are something that women should not actually indulge into. Second is the dependence and reserved seats. So we know there are many reserved seats for women, and actually we see very few women who are participating besides the seats which are reserved for women. Okay, and even there we see a very limitation that even if the seats are reserved for women, their male head, for example, their husband or maybe their father or maybe their son actually take the control. It's only the face of the women that we see on the chair, but at the back we are actually having someone else playing the game. One of my stakeholders, while doing the survey, rightly pointed about and went to the extent of saying that Indira Gandhi, who is our former prime minister, she could come to the chair of the Prime Minister of India because she was Nehru's daughter. She definitely portrayed a brilliant political mindset that was after coming. But when she was brought, my stakeholder actually pointed out that she was brought with the king-making motive that she could be controlled. She was a woman. She was without a husband, and she could be controlled any way that we would like. So, and the very fact that we have not got any women prime minister after her is a very alarming factor. Marginalization with leadership roles is my next point. Even if actually women come to the power or in the leadership roles, they're expected to be in soft portfolios like culture and etc. Generally we don't see women in very hardcore area or the domains of politics that we actually say. um, uh, we nowadays we definitely are coming to see such things. For example, I would like to point about Sushma Swaraj, who was a brilliant mind in when it came to our foreign policy. We have our finance minister, the present finance minister is a woman, but the number is very less and it's very rare as well. And it needs to be very regular, and it should be a very normal thing. Um, there are many gender stereotypes and expectations which work. For example, we don't see women leaders wearing Western dresses in India. We can see men, the male political leaders, wearing both Indian and Western, but women generally are expected to wear saris. They should, vibrate a kind of motherly nature and exhibit calmness, and it's very much they should be like portrayed as a very motherly figure, and such gender stereotypes which work even inside the political sphere. Then definitely we have the patriarchal influence. Politics is a hardcore domain, okay, and women are not really expected to participate in politics as such, because it is not a career choice as such. Um, for everyone in general and women in particular, because politics is always seen as a men's business, as a hardcore area. It's always like a kind of men should decide, because the politics needs decision making, and that kind of use of brain for decision making is stereotypically assigned to men. There are many safety concerns and discrimination as well when it comes to political sphere, like the spread of fake news, the use of AI, for example, in spreading deep fake videos, actually hinder women and make them afraid before stepping into the political sphere. Recently, there was a video of Italian Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni. There's a deep fake video circulated by a man. So it actually fears this actually fears women in countries like India, where women actually feared that what would happen to me, what would happen to my family if such videos circulated on my name. Very few actually could break this chain and could step forward. So steps in this direction in safety concern discrimination should be taken as well. And we definitely see a very important factor as well, that kind of harassments, threats for women are more than men. Because, for example, if something goes wrong in a particular policy or a scheme, if, for example, if we take two conditions, if it's a man in power, the kind of backslash that man will get will definitely be lesser than the kind of backslash that women would get if she is on the chair, if the same policy or the same scheme goes wrong. So it actually, hinders women for participating. Next, we go on to the recommendations that I've come to brainstorm after this research. And one of the main things that almost all of my stakeholders have pointed out, that there are many schemes and policies to improvise women's participation in politics and political sphere in India, but the main problem is that they don't actually get executed, they don't get implemented. There's a main loophole that they have pointed out. Okay, and firstly, I have come up with independent decision making, that women should vote to a party or to a person or to anyone, basically to whom they like, to whom they want to vote, and just not simply because everyone in the family is doing so. For generations, we are voting this party. For example, the male head of the family is doing so. It should not be like this. Okay, and a mental ability of decision making should be there in women, and that comes with capacity building programs, with training, with political socialization, and that is very much to make the women politically aware is very important. Thirdly, providing incentives is very important, though with a caution. Incentives can actually motivate women candidates to come forward and take part, and also their families. But that incentive should be done with a caution, because otherwise it would lead to misuse, it would lead to reduction in the economic growth, and it would also lead to the over dependency of the candidates on the incentives provided. So it should not be like that. Fourthly, the reservation policies that we have for women should be very clear and very transparent to understand, and it should be very strict to adhere to also. For example, if a woman is in a position, even after reservation, for example, she should actually, uh, make the decision making, everything, not anyone else behind the curtains should do the same. Fifthly, we should empower, there should be empowering of women leaders. What do I mean by this? Women leaders, when they come to power, generally we tend to see that they voice the party's agenda. That should not be the case. They should voice what is their challenges, what policies can actually better off, what that lady in position thinks that I as a woman need, and women like me need in the country. The demands of women in Kashmir and Maharashtra or Tamil Nadu, and the women demands of women, per se, in Rajasthan or Gujarat and in Assam and Bengal are completely different. So we need participation from across the country. We cannot say that a women from, say, Madhya Pradesh can voice the challenges and policies for women across the whole country. It cannot be the case. They should come up. All-round participation from across the country is very important to voice the all-round challenges. And as I've said, it should not be the party's agenda. It should be the women's agenda. Sixthly, the very fact of fake news and deep fake videos that I've already mentioned should be strictly prohibited, and the circulators should be strictly punished. It should be portrayed that politics is not a dirty game. It has been made dirty by some people, and that would actually, motivate women and to come forward and participate, because women should actually know, and everyone, for example, should know that politics is not dirty. It can be a good career choice if you have, that kind of, motivation, that kind of, per se, mental stability. That yeah, I can frame policies for the country. I can work for the people. I can voice people's opinion, the challenges. Then they should. It is a career option. Why not? But the kind of insecurities, the kind of harassment that people face, especially women, should be actually curbed. And lastly, to promote gender equality and challenge the stereotypes, the traditional roles that have been assigned to women, the stereotypes that have always been assigned to women, that should be very much controlled, because at the end of the day, stereotypes actually affect the mind, and we can actually use the digital media, the print media, and today's social media can be a very instrumental thing to do the same. Men should be able to accept that yes, if a woman is better than me, she can lead. It's all right to be under a woman if she's better than me. It's not the gender that is about leading and decision making. It's about the efficiency. In a company, a CEO can be a man, a woman, or any other gender. It is about how efficient the company is running. Same goes for the government. And there should be definitely proper grievance redressal windows. There should be proper monitoring for the implementation of policies to enhance female voting, to enhance female participation as candidates in the elections. And the monitoring part, as I've already been mentioning, should be very strict, because just the policy and their execution is not important. The execution should be implemented till the grassroots level, and constant monitoring, grievance redressal, changing according to circumstances. It should be flexible enough to change with circumstances according to places, localities, etc. So, to conclude, the political space, according to me, should be more inclusive of gender. It should, there have been many barriers. For example, across the world, for example, the suffrage movements we find in Europe, in America, but India didn't even have this suffrage kind of thing from the very first general election that we are having since independence. There was no question that women could not vote. Everyone voted in the first general election until today, and that should be the case. The number of female voters have been increasing definitely, and number of female candidates participating should also increase in large numbers, because and the policies accordingly, the implementation, the execution should be accordingly, because at the end of the day, the implementation is what actually matters. And we should actually, India is the mother of democracy, and when she is the mother of democracy, the mothers and the sisters of the country should actually go forward and take part in politics and political processes, voice for the change, for the betterment of our country, domestically and internationally. That was my presentation on the paper. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. So that was Jayaji's presentation on her paper.
Yeah.
And that was also the last presentation for today, ma'am.
Yeah, so I think Jaya Paul's presentation is quite comprehensive, because she has been in touch with us, and she has also shown her various, the progress report was there, and she has made a very comprehensive understanding and analysis, and even her review of literature is also very important, because she has taken care of all the global as well as national discourses, and some of the gender stereotypes, and the how the money power, muscle power, and mafia power, they also create a very negative and disabling impact on women, and how Indian women, both as a candidate, as an elected representative, and also as a voters, are now getting foothold. From toehold, they are now getting foothold in the political arena. So I think it is a very interesting study, and I think it's foolproof in its the way she has presented it. Yeah.
Yes, thank you, ma'am. And with that, ma'am, also, if you have any closing remarks for this program, since it's the last day of our 4-month initiative.
So we are at the fag end of the course, and now over last 11 days, we have had so many sessions, which also brought us the importance of participatory action research, and how it is the most democratic, bottom-up, equitable, liberating, and also life enhancing, and especially the qualitative inquiries, where the researchers is immersed in the research endeavor, that also helps in generation of evidence-based policy formulation. Even for policy implementation, participatory action research is very important, and also the outcome evaluation that we do. Impact evaluation. I think Dr. Asher also mentioned that how impact evaluation makes the whatever gaps you have, or whatever whatever limitations are there in the design of the policy, in the legal implications of the policy, in terms of the budgetary allocation, all that I think is very, the participatory action research is very useful, which results in an ultimate sense. It results in transformative change. So I think all 11 sessions, all 11 days, the session experts have brought in very multifaceted dimensions of participatory action research. They were bureaucrats, they were intellectuals, they were freelance researchers, they were academicians, and they were also doing the journalistic, research-based journalistic writings. So this kind of various entry points of getting into action research, and how it has brought in changes. I think right from the very first lecture, inaugural lecture by Professor Vijay Raghavan, to the valedictory address by Dr. Mukul Asher, all the resource persons had a ground level experience, and how they used participatory action research in their endeavor for bringing policy changes and also transforming the existing reality for a better quality of life to different segments of Indian society. So with this, we end this course, and the quality of presentation, the way last 2 months, all the participants have been exchanging their ideas in their email, their concept note, their PPT presentation, all of it shows the success of this course, that you all have also imbibed whatever was conveyed by the resource persons, and obviously all of you are also making important contribution in whichever location you are in. Whether as a journalist or a researcher or an academician or a research scholar or in a teaching profession, I think all of you have been doing commendable job, and that is the most satisfying reward that we organizers can have. Thank you, Priyanka-ji. You can offer vote of thanks.
Thank you so much, ma'am. And before we proceed to the final vote of thanks, just a little announcement for the participants regarding the final submission. Your final submission date is 25th of April. In case anybody thinks that they need an extension, you'll have to mail us regarding the extension for your research paper. Please do try to finish it within the deadline though. And for once again, I'd like to reiterate that for any of these style guidelines, referencing guidelines, we have provided you with the guideline document. Go through that. We follow the APA method of referencing. So kindly stick to that, and make sure you keep sharing your drafts with us, so we can also process this as and when they come. And you have to share them to us at learning@impri@gmail.com, via which we've been having conversation with you so far. Now with that, I would like to proceed with the final vote of thanks. As we come to the end of Public Policy Qualitative Participatory Action Research Fieldwork Fellowship, Cohort 2.0, an online national winter school program of 4-month online immersive qualitative participatory action research fieldwork certificate training fellowship, I, Priyanka Negi, researcher at IMPRI, Impact and Policy Research Institute, would like to propose the final vote of thanks on behalf of IMPRI. We extend our heartfelt gratitude to our esteemed experts, Professor Mukul and Professor Vibhuti Patel for generously sharing their time and expertise in today's session of this online certificate program. We also express our sincere appreciation to all of the experts who have guided us over the past 4 months, contributing to this learning journey. We thank Professor Vibhuti Patel for chairing this fellowship program. We thank all of our participants who have raised pertinent questions and actively participated in today's deliberation and throughout this program. We would also like to share that a feedback form will be shared with you, which you have to fill, and post which the certificates would be provided. The final certificates, of course, would be provided after the final submission of your research papers. And to those who have not submitted their presentations, who have not presented today, kindly submit their presentations to us over learning@impri@gmail.com. Those who have given their presentations today, consider your presentations submitted. Hence, for the completion of this fellowship program, a PPT is mandatory, and your research paper final submission. We would like to announce that we have the next cohort, that is Cohort 3 of this fellowship program, coming up next month, that is May. And we are grateful if you're watching us later on YouTube or listening to us on our various podcasts or reading our publications. We hope you continue to join in future to our IMPRI Web Policy Talk, Web Policy Learning. Wish you a very good day, and thank you. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. I have to join at 5, no, today?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, I'll be there.